Hi guys, how's it going? Welcome back to my channel. And yes, today is another author interview day, and my guest is Mrs. Bulbul Sharma. Now, Mrs. Bulbul Sharma really does not need an introduction, but I would like to share a few things about her. Her books, Banana Flower Diaries, Now That I Am 50, Travel with My Aunts. But today I'm going to talk to her about her book, Murder in Shimla. Is it an Agatha Christie type of a book? It's in whodunit. How did she come about with the plot and all these questions? But before that, I want to share a few lines which has been her philosophy of life. She says, learn everything you can, anytime you can, from anyone you can. There will always come a time when you will be grateful you did. What beautiful lines. I think if we make these lines our philosophy of life, all those creative genes in our body will be out there and we will become better human beings for sure. So come, let us talk to her about her book, Murder in Shimla. I'm really looking forward to this conversation because Agatha Christie was my favorite and I really want to know, is this book inspired by Agatha Christie? It has that old world charm of the Raj era. So come, let us talk to her. Hi ma'am, thank you so much. And really it's a pleasure talking to you.
No, it's wonderful finally connecting with you.
Ma'am, today we are going to talk about your book. You're such an accomplished writer. My first question is that this book has an old world charm, the Raj era setting to it. How would you say this book is different from an Agatha Christie book?
Well, I think it's very much similar to an Agatha Christie. A lot of people have compared it, and I've been inspired by Miss Marple, who was a detective in Agatha Christie novels. So I would say my inspiration has come from reading so many Agatha Christie novels, but it's an Indian setting and it's a totally, different, different, everything is different.
Okay. Ma'am, any specific reason for choosing a blonde and a beautiful character who would die in the book?
Yes, I know. Surprisingly, this is my second detective novel, and even in the earlier one, which is Murder in Goa, the murder shouldn't say, but there's another blonde and beautiful character. So I think in my third book, I'm not going to have any more blondes.
But any specific reason when you made that particular character is killed in the novel? Any specific reason?
Well, I'll tell you why. Because the rest of the characters, if you know, in the novel are quite, they're very proper, they're very English, and so I wanted something really glamorous and something exotic. And for the British during that time, anybody who was Spanish or Italian was very exotic. So that's why she's very blonde and beautiful.
And ma'am, why is
an outsider? The main thing is she's an outsider.
Okay, so through that perhaps you tried to show that she's an outsider.
Yeah.
Ma'am, why is the novel set in Shimla during the British Raj? Any particular reason?
Well, I've been wanting to write a novel based in Shimla for many, many years, and it just hasn't worked out. I've written some short stories where Shimla happens, they happen to be in Shimla. So I was very keen. And then again, Shimla, what it was and what it is now, it's very different. Shimla was really the pride and joy of the British Raj. So I wanted to create that time and also to show the darkness. It wasn't all beautiful. It was maybe beautiful for the British people who went to live there. But the Indians who lived in the lower mall, I've described that. They had a very tough time and they were discriminated against. So I put that in. It's a light-hearted novel. It's not a serious, novel historically sort of. It's not an activist novel or anything like that. But I just wanted to put that in.
Anything Shimla got to do with your own life, your own memories? Does that also reflect?
Yes, definitely. My grandfather worked in Shimla. He worked for the British. So, I don't know if you're too young to remember that. Even I wasn't born then. But how, all the people who worked for the British in Delhi, they all moved to Simla. For 6 months, they lived in Simla because the capital moved there, and then they again moved back. It was very strange. It didn't happen. I don't think anywhere else in the world this happened. That the whole city moved. The government, the shopkeepers, the schools, everything moved up. So that was another point which was interesting to me as a writer.
Ma'am, why have you made William Parker Smith the character of a boring assistant commissioner? Any particular reason that the police is boring or something of that sort? Why is he boring?
Well, he is a civil servant, and civil servant in those days were very proper. The British, they were, and he is particularly, he wants to do everything. He's a real babu, pakka babu. So he doesn't want to do anything wrong, and yet he has this hidden thing, as he gets all these books from the bookshop and things like that. So every character in Murder in Simla has different layers, different nuances. Nobody is black and white, nobody is really good or nobody is really bad. And so I think in every writer tries that, not to make their character one dimensional, give them a lot of different facets.
There are a lot of characters in this book. What was your biggest challenge in dealing with so many characters?
Keeping them together, yeah. So I have, like, somebody was asking me yesterday that do you use apparently there's a software you can use, the writers use to get all the characters in place and make sure they're not going all over the place. But I didn't know about this, so I just have notes, with their names and their little bio data pasted all over my walls. And to make sure that they all stay connected. And when you work on a book, it takes, like, I took about a year and almost 2 years to write this book. So you get to know them, and they become like your family members. So you know exactly what your family members are doing, even if there are lots of them. So that's how you keep tabs.
Ma'am, if you have to choose between who done it and how done it, what would you choose, and what according to you is more challenging?
How done it is what? I mean, I didn't get that. What is the how done it?
Ma'am, how is the murder done? Like Kiego Higashino is a Japanese writer. He does who the murderer is, but he has portrayed the whole novel in a way that from the beginning till the end, you cannot guess that how was the murder done.
Yeah. Yes, I mean that's a very difficult genre. That's a writer called Ruth Rendell, who I read a lot. She's a British writer. She does that. She writes the entire book from the murderer's point of view. So, but you have to be really skilled. I don't think I'm that skilled as yet because this is only my second detective. I've been writing other kinds of novels, travel stories, and mythological books. But this. So maybe one day I will do a how done it. As you say, I've learned a new word from you.
Well, and how do you plan your novels? You plan everything, like you know it in your mind that this is how my characters are going to move. This is going to be the end. This is going to be the beginning, or you just let them loose, and perhaps you may know the end, or it's not that you know the end.
No, the thing is, I try, Natalia, from the beginning. Each time I sit down to write a new book, I said I'm going to write it all out. I'm going to, put it all in order, chapter wise. This is how it will progress. And then I sit down, like a child before exams, they make those timetables and they do it so neatly. But halfway through the novel, it just collapses, and everybody is doing their own thing. And somehow I feel like like a conductor of a symphony. I have to keep them together. But I never forget the end. I always have the end. This is how I'm going to end. But that also sometimes changes. You find, I think a lot of writers find that the characters are doing their own thing especially when they interact with each other. The new things are thrown up, and then you said, "Oh, that's interesting. Maybe I'll get him to say this instead of that." So my writing is very organic. It sort of grows in different ways.
Ma'am, generally in Agatha Christie book, the complainant is the killer. This is what I am a big Agatha Christie fan. So I used to read a lot of her work, and this is, what I used to guess when I used to read it. Oh, this guy is complaining he'll be the murderer at the end, and that
Yeah.
did come out true in many cases.
Yeah.
What do you think about this, ma'am?
Yeah, well, that was her great mastery. Like I saw a play recently in London, which one of the Agatha Christie, and I've seen it. I saw it about 5 years ago, and I'd totally forgotten because it's so clever that again, you get to know, and of course, it's the policeman who's the murderer. So you never remember that. So yes, in some stories there are, and it all depends on the writer, who they want to catch in the end. And then in Murder in Simla, if you notice, there's in the twist in the end, because you think it's one person who is the murderer, but well, I won't give I won't give it away. But there is a twist in the tale, as they say.
Ma'am, in this book, Murder in Shimla, what inspired you? Like you have written Murder in Goa. Now, what next? Like you are putting down a series like Murder in different cities, or what is
Yeah.
actually
Yeah.
the plan?
Well, it just happened, because I wrote Murder in Goa because, I wanted to do a city based. And so this Simla thing, I've always wanted to write about Simla. So now it seems to become like a pattern. Everybody's asking me, what city now are you going to write about? So I think it's going to be Delhi's turn now. So I'm going to do a Delhi-based, murder mystery that I just started. Uh,
A different aspect. You've been such an accomplished writer. You've also been an artist. So, ma'am, how do you feel that creativity falls into writing, or writing falls into painting? Because I'm not a painter, and I really don't know anything. Perhaps I can't even hold a pencil straight if I have to draw. But how do you feel that these things can be correlated?
Well, they're all very correlated. Any creative effort is all, first of all, it's all God's gift to you, and everybody has it. I don't believe that people can't write, or they can't, like you said, you can't hold a pencil. You don't have to hold a pencil. You can hold a charcoal, you can hold a brush, you can hold a roller. And I've been doing workshops just to prove this, because I work with children, I work with special needs children, I work with women, just to prove this, that everybody can write and everybody can paint. You just have to have it in your heart that I want to do this. So, and a lot of people, Natalia, when they're young, they're very good at it. Then what happens slowly? They get into jobs, they have to support a family, they have to, all life takes over. And not everybody. I was fortunate, my parents were very supportive. They wanted me to paint and they wanted me to write. And, but, only if you have that chance that you can do, and I think we all have it. We just need to get a chance.
Ma'am, any books you recommend for an aspiring writer must read? Though there, it's an ocean of books out there. But anything which you feel an aspiring writer must read, apart from the classics, from the contemporaries, any one of the favorites you have?
Well, it depends, what their interests are. They shouldn't read something just because they think, oh, I'm going to be a writer, I must read it. It's what touches their heart, and they must read. If they like non-fiction, then Willem Dalrymple is an excellent, writer. I mean, that's the way he takes dry historical facts and makes it so readable. So, and then of course there are other writers, fiction for Anita Nair. I mean, India has got so many writers who are so talented, Namita Gokhale and Paru Anand for children's writing. There's so many writers, and of course, my favorite is Jane Austen still. I think you should just read Jane Austen read all her books to begin with, just to see how the light touch works when you don't sort of get. And then another writer I really admire is Alexander McCall Smith. His is again stories that are set in Africa, but they could easily be set in India.
Ma'am, it was wonderful talking to you and about your book, and I'm sure I'm looking forward to the next place which you choose. As you said, Delhi. So let's see, ma'am, and I'm sure that the viewers are also going to enjoy the book and the conversation.
Yeah, thank you so much. Lovely talking to you.
So, guys, we were in conversation with Mrs. Bulbul Sharma about her book Murder in Shimla. The book does hold that old world charm of the Raj era, which is my favorite, and it's a whodunit. So do tell me your views and comments. How did you find today's video? I'll be waiting for your comments. And yes, do tune in my next show, which will be very soon. And yes, don't forget to subscribe and share your comments. Thank you so much, guys. Keep smiling. Why? Because you look beautiful when you smile. Take care. Bye.